Okay, let's keep going on the GED language arts test. I'll share it here with you. We were working on reading on it. Here we go. All right, so it says, excerpt from Black Beauty. The place that can remember well was a large, pleasant meadow with a pond of clear water in it. Some shady trees leaned over it, and rushes and water lilies grew at the deep end. Over the edge on one side, we looked into a plowed field, and on the other, we looked at over a gate at our master's house, which stood by the roadside. One day, when there was a good deal of kicking, my mother whinnied to me to come to her, and then she said, I wish you to pay attention to what I am going to say to you. The colts who live here are very good colts, but they are cart horse colts, and of course, they have not learned manners. You have been well bred and well born. Your father has a great name in these parts, and your grandfather won the cup 2 years at the Newmarket races. Your grandmother had the sweetest temperament of any horse I ever knew. I think you have never seen me kick or bite. I hope you will grow up gentle and good and never learn bad ways. Do your work with a good will, lift your feet up well when you trot, and never bite or bark even in play. I've never forgotten my mother's advice. I knew that she was a wise old horse, and our master thought a great deal of her. Her name was Duchess, but he often called her Pet. Our master was a good, kind man. He gave us good food, good lodging, and good words. He spoke as kindly to us as he did to his little children. We were all fond of him. My mother loved him very much. When she saw him at the gate, she would neigh with joy and trot up to him. All the horses would come to him, but I think we were his favorites. My mother always took him to the town on market day in a light gig. There was a plowboy, Dick, who sometimes came into our field to pluck blackberries from the hedge. When he'd eaten all he wanted, he would have what he called fun with the colts, throwing stones and sticks at them to make them gallop. We did not much mind him, but for we would gallop off, but sometimes a stone would hit and hurt us. One day he was at this game and did not know that the master was in the next field, but he was there watching what was going on over the hedge. He jumped in a snap, and catching Dick by the arm, he gave him such a box on the ear as to as made him more with pain and surprise. As soon as he saw the master, he trotted up nearer to see what went on. Number one, well, 16. Number 16. Who is the narrator in this passage? And the answer is, again, hit pause. Make sure you answered it first. On number 16, hopefully you figured it out as we were reading. It's a horse. The narrator is who is speaking, and the person who is speaking and telling the story here, I guess that's another good word for it. The narrator is the storyteller of it, is a young horse. Next up, what was the setting of the story? Might need to go back for that for you. All right, here we go. What was the setting of the story? So hopefully you found it there. It was D, a farm. They talked about a racetrack, and they talked about a town, and they talked about a forest, but overall he was standing at a farm telling the story. Number 18, the narrator's account of his youth can be best described as melancholy, contented, regretful, humorous. It was contented. This is a good one to do elimination on. He didn't talk about regrets growing up, and I don't know, it wasn't sad or anything, but I don't know if it was funny. And melancholy is a word that is sad. You just feel sad for no real reason. You're just sad. That's what that word means. And the horse wasn't sad. He wasn't melancholy. I know I don't speak very well sometimes. We'll go with that. All right, 19. A narrator would most likely describe the master in the story as affectionate and protective, arrogant and abusive, playful and lighthearted, bold and aggressive. It's A. He never talked about him being abusive, the master. The boy next door there, he was like to throw stones. It didn't talk about the master as being playful. And he wasn't aggressive. Again, aggressive would be like abusive. So by elimination and what it said, it's A. All right, 20. The mother's speech in paragraph 3 most likely serves to, let's go back and look, paragraph 3. There's paragraph 4, there's 3. And again, I told you it helps to go back before the paragraph and look at just what it says right before it. So the answer there is A. Looking back at the paragraph before, she was kicking and making a lot of noise and just kind of, let's go back and look at it. I'll show you. It says she was doing a great deal of kicking. So the mother then scolded her by telling her who she is and what her background is, and that she can be better than that. Um, wasn't the reprimand, she didn't insult the master. She didn't steal blackberries in that paragraph. It doesn't talk about her winning races further and later on, but just it just gave her a background on who she is and that she came from really a really good stock. All right, next up, um, writing and language skills. So on this part of the test, honestly, I mean, you can kind of breeze through the reading on it, but you pretty much just got to go over and start answering the question. These are grammar questions. All right, so number 1, a student in blank diagnosed with strep throat. So a student in, so that goes over here. So you got to see which one of those grammatically makes sense to plug in for that. So look over A, B, C, and D and think about it. It's D. It helps to read it out loud. Well, in your head, you have to read it in your head. A student in your child's class has been diagnosed with strep throat. That makes sense when you read it. The next one, letter A here, a student in your class. Remember, your is you and then the word or. So expand it. A student in your child's class. That makes no sense. And then the next one, a student in your child's class have been. Have been, it's the verb tense. Have been. A student in your child's class have been diagnosed with strep throat. You want it to be has been. Has been. And the next one after that, a student in your children's class has been, and then they had a comma, and there's no reason for the comma. And there's no pause in the reading. Your child's class has been diagnosed. It all is one. Think about commas if you need to take a break. It is a good way to think about it and need to pause when you're reading. Number 2, watch your child for strep, blank, sore throat, fever, swollen glands, and headache. Again, look them all over. Okay, the answer to this one is C. And again, A, B, and C are all the same. It's not always going to work this way, but notice they all have that common. This one doesn't. Overall, I'm not going to say every time, but overall, it's a good idea to go with eliminate the one that's different than all the rest. And so we're going to eliminate that because it doesn't have a comma. And then this one's bad because it starts with such as, there's no verb. such as sore throat, fever. You need a verb. They made a whole new sentence, but without a verb. You can't do that. And the next one, your child's throat for symptoms. The best known are sore throat, fever. Watch your child's for strep throat symptoms. The best known, I don't, it just doesn't sound good. The best known are sore throat, fever, swollen glands, and headache. The one that sounds the best is C. I agree. B and C both look good, but C is the best. Let's see what they say about B. Um, it says that that it's two independent clauses and they join them with conjunctions. So yeah, it is. It's two sentences. Watch your child for strep symptoms. That's kind of one whole thought. And then they put a comma between it, meaning one whole thought, one whole sentence. And then they join that sentence with another sentence. And you can't do that with a comma. All right. Next one. If your child blank, again, look it over here. And the answer you want is B. If your child develops any of these symptoms, take him or her to the doctor. That sounds nice. Again, look over A. If your child will develop any of these symptoms, take them to the doctor. There's no, if your child will develop, if they will develop, that makes no sense. If the child has developed them. And the next one, if your child, again, this will develop, that's just bad. If your child will develop any of the symptoms, how about if they do develop them, then you take them. If your child developed any of these symptoms, take them to the doctor. If your child, why don't they like D? Let's look. Oh, they don't tell us why they don't like D. Let me look. I think it's the verb tense. If your child developed any of these symptoms, it's like it's in the past tense and it happened and it's gone and it's over. So why do you take them to the doctor if they already developed it and it's done? If they got better. So this is in the current tense. If your child develops it right now, if it's happening right now, if they develops it right now, take them. Not if they will develop, or not if they developed them, if they develops them right now, and that's the present tense. Okay, number 4. Which revision would improve the effectiveness of the paragraph of the passage? Begin a new paragraph at sentence 3, 4, 5, or 6. Let's go back. So should we start a new paragraph here at 3, 4, 5, or 6? Which one would make the most sense? It is C at sentence 5. At sentence 5, it starts a new thought. To safeguard your child's health, please take the following precautions. So before that, they were talking about strep throat and let's see, yeah, it talks about strep throat and developing and how long there's a whole new thought though. They change it then to prevention. Well, to safeguard your child's health, take these preventions and stuff. So it's a whole new thought. So it's time for a new paragraph. All right. Then number 5, it says blank rheumatic fever. And you want to have for this one A. In addition, antibiotics may prevent rheumatic fever. And you need the comma because it's kind of a pause in it. It's a prepositional kind of thing you're starting it with. In addition, antibiotics may. See how you make your pause kind of so you kind of hear it too? But it's because it's a preposition that you're starting the sentence with. In addition, comma, antibiotics may. So that's how come it's not B. And this just doesn't sound right. Additionally, antibiotics may. That's just weird. When taking antibiotics may, you need a verb there. That's just bad grammar altogether. All right, number 6, blank medicine for 24 hours. He or she may return to school. Okay, it is A. After the fever is gone and your child has taken medicine for 24 hours, he or she may return to school. Um, your child, so let's look at the other ones. Your child must have no fever and have taken medicine for 24 hours. Have taken, it's the verb tense again. Haven't taken, haven't taken. Your child must have no fever and haven't taken medicine for 24 hours. Not only that, see, they have the word have, and then they said haven't. So that's different verbs in the same sentence, different verb tenses. You need to have them the same within the sentence, within the paragraph overall. You don't switch verb tenses. And this is just weird, that comma in the middle of nowhere. Your child, comma, your child once having no fever and having taken medicine for 24 hours. It's just weird. The fever must be gone, and once your child is taking medicine for 24 hours, that's just not, and let me look and see what they said. Maybe it'll help you too. It says, combining the detail, again, that doesn't really help. Their answers don't help at all. All right, next one. I'm sorry about that. Moving on. Next one. Again, glance it over. I'll leave it there a second. Just glance at it to get a general idea of what it's about. And then here we go. Number 7. Most of us can blank with little damage to our finances. Again, you should pause it, look them over, then hit play and see the answer. Okay, it's C. Most of us can bet on a football game or buy a lottery ticket with little damage to our finances. There's only 2 things that are compared there, bet on a game or buy a lottery ticket. So we don't need a comma in between them. It's when you got more than 2 of them, then you need to start putting commas up. But if you just got 2, you don't need a comma. And let's see the next one, B. Most of us can make bets on football games or lottery tickets with little damage to our finances. It's missing a verb. It said make bets. So we need a verb, buy a lottery ticket, to keep the symmetry going of what's said there between the first part and the second part. They have a verb and a noun, the verb being bet, and then the noun football tickets, buy lottery tickets. It's got the symmetry going there. It does it on B. And then on D, it says most of us can place bets on football games. Again, it's this random comma, or are on lottery tickets, and it just sounds bad too. C is really nice and it's smooth. Go with the nice one that sounds smooth. Okay, number 8. In contrast to compulsive gamblers, compulsive gamblers cannot stop even in their behavior to ruin their lives. Okay, answer is C. That's in the present tense, when their behavior threatens to ruin their life. If it had threatened, that means that it's over and done. It threatens means it's current. Will threaten means like in the future. And having threatened, again, that's in the past. So the present tense just sounds better and it makes more sense. All right, number 9. Which sentence would be most effective if inserted at the beginning of paragraph B? All right, so I'm going to go back to paragraph B. There's paragraph B. So what should we insert? Which one of those should we insert into the top of that? And it's D. Compulsive gamblers display a number of consistent traits. That's a nice way to overall summarize what you're about to read. This one's, it sounds really nice. It's nice and smooth. It uses nice words on it, consistent traits. A lot of problems, it says the same thing, but it's not as pretty as what D is. D's fancier with consistent traits. In addition, this one's the same thing. Some people engage in compulsive gambling. It talks about traits in there or problems that they're having. It doesn't talk about compulsive gambling. It doesn't talk about that. But we want the overall theme of it. The overall theme of it is compulsive gamblers display a number of consistent traits. Number 9, they need to gamble with more and more money in order to enjoy blank. Okay, so the answer is A. Those are two sentences. Um, that's why they put the period there. And then losing money is the noun and increases is the verb. Losing money increases their desire to gamble. So that's a whole new sentence. So doing that, you can't join it with just the word but. You would kind of need the word, a comma there might work if you put a comma, then but. But just a comma without some kind of conjunction's not good. And here again, we're joining two sentences, and you can't just join two sentences with the word and. So the best choice is A. Okay, 11. Eleven's A. This is what, there's more than one thing there. Commit fraud, forgery, or theft. There's three things there. There's more than two. If there's two, you really don't need a comma, but when you get three going, you're gonna need to put commas between them. So that's why there's commas. This one didn't have commas between the words fraud, forgery, and theft. This one didn't have them either, nor did that one. So it's A. Number 12, they may become anxious and blank, may fail to live up to their obligations, causing others to stop trusting them. It's A. They may become anxious and depressed, comma, or they may fail to live up to their obligations, causing others to stop trusting them. You definitely are going to need a comma because we're joining sentences, sort of. Let's see why it's not C, because they went ahead and put a period there. They become anxious and depressed, period, and they may fail to live up to obligations, causing others to stop trusting them. Overall, it just sounds better when you read it out loud, so that's why you're going to need to pick A. All right, next one. Same thing here. Look at over here. We're choosing a pet. All right, 13. Blank just because they see an adorable puppy or kitten. The answer is B. People often make impulse buys at pet stores just because they see an adorable puppy or kitten. Um, it sounds nice, it's smooth. Letter A, being impulsive, people make buys at pet stores just because they see an adorable puppy or kitten. It's kind of rough. I had to pause a little bit and like gather my thoughts when I was reading it. B was nice and smooth. That's just odd just to start it with the word often, comma. It's just kind of odd. It's not smooth. Again, same thing with D. If you read it out loud and look at it, B's the one that looks the best. K 14. Unhappily, These poor creatures are likely to end up at shelters. Oh, going back to B, I didn't even notice, you guys. They capitalized the word pet stores. There's no reason for that to be capitalized. So that eliminates two of them. Oh my gosh, I didn't even see that. So that's why those are out, because they capitalize them. And it says D is needlessly wordy, so too wordy. So again, it's hard on that too wordy word choice and stuff. It's all about just reading it. Which one's the smoothest, the cleanest, and the most concise? On the other part, on the reading, a lot of the times, and on science and social studies, the longest answer is the answer. But when you do the grammar part here, when you're picking which one of these look the best, it's not the longest one. It's always the shortest one. You want to look for the shortest one. Usually it's the shortest one because it's concise. You're supposed to make things short and concise, which is just the opposite of what they do, like I said, for the answers then on the social studies and the reading answers that we just did. Overall, usually it's longer of the answers. But here you want them short, concise, and not too wordy. So B was that way. All right, back to 14. So what do we think here? Okay, on this one, it's D. Unhappily, these poor creatures are likely to end up at shelters when the owners find they can't care for the animals. Okay, so a couple of them use the wrong pronoun. You need to use they because they used owners, and owners is plural. So um, they use this one. This one's not plural to go with the word owners. And the other ones, just wordiness and just the sound D's better. Okay, 15. When selecting a pet. Okay, the answer on this one's A. Whenever you use the word there, the word are goes with it. That's the verb that goes with are. There are several choices. You don't say there is. There being, that's just bad. All right, so D also has there are. Let's look at why it's not that. There are several factors considering when selecting a pet. Oh, that just doesn't make sense considering when. So it's A. There are several factors to consider when selecting a pet. That just, it flows, it's good. That's just weird sticking that word considering in there out of nowhere. Okay, 16. While some pets require little care, puppies and kittens need to be, it is C. They need to be housebroken and trained. All right, it's not this one because again, the verbs, it says be broken and training. So they have ing with en. See, it's you're not going to add ing to the that. It's just different verb tenses. Heartbroken and training, housebroken and training. Same thing with be. And then they have to train here. And if we're going to do that, then it should have been to be housebroken. You got to keep the parallelness of it going. And again, just read it, which one's the smoothest. Case 17, which revisions should be made to the placement of sentence 10? Move sentence 10 to the beginning of B, move 10 to the follow sentence 6, move 10 to the beginning of C. Oh, you guys are going to probably have to go back and forth a lot to do that one. Let me go back and you take a look at it. So they want you to move sentence 10. Let's go find sentence 10. Let's go back. And I'll go back one more time. You can hit pause on it if you need to. 17, use D. Just remove it. Get rid of it. It's not needed. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. Get rid of it. Okay, 18. You should be able to return the pet. The answer is D, if the animal is unhealthy. Will be unhealthy. If the animal will be unhealthy. Okay, we're not, I don't know how we're going to know if they're going to be unhealthy. That's in the future. We're going to return it if it is unhealthy. Um, the same issue there. If they were going to be unhealthy, well, I don't know. That's just weird. If the animal was unhealthy, you should be able to return the pet if the animal was unhealthy. Gosh, that would probably mean it's dead already with that map, that tense. How about we go with is unhealthy? So it's not dead yet. All right, let's see what else. Ah, that's it. All right. Um, well, that was fun. There's also on the test, I'll leave it on here while I'm talking. There's also on the test an essay to write. So I'll see if I have that someplace else for us. And I'll talk about it. Yeah, there's an extended response. So that's the only thing we're missing from this is an extended response thing. I'm going to make more videos on it. So you'll find something about an essay on another one. All right. There's also math videos on other GED videos to find. So, all right. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Have a good day.